Please welcome to the stage, Jake Wright!
Thank you guys so much for coming. It's good to see everybody. I'll catch you guys up on what I've been up to recently. A lot of exciting stuff going on for me. Just last week, I actually delivered a pizza to the university I graduated from. to people that knew me, which is a very life-affirming event. I was a theater major in college. All right, yes. You guys know what I'm talking about. I feel like driving for Uber Eats is our grad program. I remember when I graduated from theater college, the commencement speaker said to everyone, "Hey, everybody, give it up if you're an actor." And I didn't realize it at the time, but that was actually the best advice I ever got in college. Thank you. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about me. I'm kind of an unconventional guy. I've always been a bit of an awkward person. Actually, when I was in preschool, they thought I was autistic. And by the time I was in high school, they knew for sure. That's a true story. I was diagnosed as being high functioning on the autism spectrum when I was 11. A lot of times people don't believe me when I say that because I don't look like Bill Gates. Because they don't think someone on the spectrum can look like a young dad in a porn. But at least one of them does. Yeah, social interactions often will go wrong for me because I'm not very good at reading people's nonverbal social signals, and other people aren't very good at saying what they mean. And it's a bad mix. I don't do very well in one-on-one interactions, like dates and stuff. She'll be like, "I'm sorry, I don't want to bore you with my problems," and I'll be like, "Thank you so much." I am so glad we're on the same page. And eye contact is another thing that can be a little bit tricky for me at times. But the hard part is not making eye contact. The hard part is making exactly the right amount of eye contact. Or else people think you're very strange. Too little eye contact says to the other person, "I don't care about you as a person at all." And too much eye contact says, "I've poisoned you and I'm waiting for it to take effect." I feel like being on the spectrum and needing to learn social cues, you feel like an alien visiting Earth for the first time. Like, "Oh no, don't look down when they're talking. Oh no, don't go to the beach and sit facing away from the ocean." That one's tricky. Fun fact about autism. Autism is not considered a heritable trait by the American Psychiatric Association. And so essentially what that means is that legally I'm still allowed to sell my sperm, which is a big help. That's been very helpful for me as a poor man. I am a very poor man. And I did apply to sell my sperm, and I got approved despite the whole mental health situation, which shows you how much women care about guys being tall. It's way too much. It's actually very difficult to get approved to sell your sperm, believe it or not. Becoming a sperm donor is really the ultimate sign you're an underachiever. Because to get approved, you have to have a bunch of traits associated with people that are successful, like height and a college degree and stuff like that, even though it's exclusively the least successful people that are trying to sell their sperm. So essentially what they're scouting for is just who has the most wasted potential. They're just like, out of all the people that did nothing with their lives, who left the most on the table? That's our man. My sperm's actually been selling quite well. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's flying off the shelves, let me tell you guys. Which is flattering, but it also shows me, in a way, how poorly I must be performing on my Hinge dates. I think I'm hard to be on a date with, because if a woman wants to buy my sperm, it costs $1,500, and somehow it's still harder for me to give it away for free. That's how much I'm doing wrong. That they want my raw genetic material more than the finished product. That means that who I am is the least attractive thing about me. But women will pay good money for who I could have been. Some women, when they see guys with wasted potential, they're like, I can fix him. In my case, they're like, I'd have to start from scratch. Before I was selling my baby batter, I was a babysitter. Yes, I was a male babysitter. I happened to be very good at it, but there comes a point as a man where you have to choose between your babysitting career and your mustache. And I chose the mustache. Nobody wants to leave their kids with a man that has a mustache. If Mary Poppins had been a man with a mustache, that movie would have been a completely different genre. In the pitch for that movie, the studio heads would have gone, I love it, and are the children ever found? That movie would have gotten made as a suspense thriller, like M. Night Shyamalan presents Gary Poppins. Mary Poppins is a touching story. Gary Poppins is a touching story. Thank you. For a brief amount of time, I was making money doing stand-up on college campuses. That was my gig. I was a college comedian. I got in a little bit of trouble one time because I made a comment that was misconstrued to be sort of like an anti-political correctness sentiment. It was right around Christmas time, and there were flyers that I saw on the campus that were saying we need to cancel the Christmas carol, Baby It's Cold Outside, because they said that the woman in that song is in danger. And I definitely didn't disagree with them, because I don't know if you guys have heard that song recently. She might be. But I just pointed out that they were being a little bit inconsistent. Because how can you cancel that Christmas carol because the woman is in danger, but then completely turn a blind eye to Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer? That one is significantly worse. It's about a woman who gets drunk and leaves her house at night, where someone finds her the next morning dead, with hoof prints on her forehead and claw marks on her back. Newsflash, reindeer don't have claws. Something dark happened to Grandma. Something with hooves ran her over from the front. And then someone or something took the time to flip her over. And she ends up with claw marks on her back. Grandma didn't get run over by a reindeer. Grandma got sacrificed by a colt. To be honest with you guys, I'm kind of surprised that way more old-time songs haven't been canceled. Like, by modern standards, humanity was awful until so recently. I was just listening to that song by the Beatles called I Saw Her Standing There. In the first line of that song, Paul McCartney goes, well, she was just 17, if you know what I mean. What do you mean? It's bad enough he said the girl was 17. Now it feels like he's roping me into it. Also, what do you mean if you know what I mean? Like, what else could that even mean? Is 17 code for 16? And what did this teenage girl do to elicit this older man's attention? She was just standing there. Yeah, but the Beatles don't get canceled, I guess, because they get a pass because they're from a different time or whatever. Which, I don't know, it's really kind of a crapshoot which famous people get a pass for being from a different time and which ones don't, right? And it has nothing to do with how long ago they're from. Because Paul McCartney hasn't gotten canceled, but Christopher Columbus did. When I was a kid, Christopher Columbus was just the guy that discovered America. Now, if he showed his face in public, he'd get his ass kicked. Like, could you imagine explaining to Christopher Columbus, hey, 500 years from now, everyone's still gonna love you. But 505 years from now, they're gonna hate your guts. He would be so confused. I mean, not that he didn't deserve it. It just shows you this is a very unique time in history that we're living in. That's the one thing that everyone agrees on, that these are unprecedented times. No one is arguing on Twitter that these are precedented times. We all agree that we're special compared to the other time periods. Which I think is a pretty new phenomenon. Like, you know how sometimes people like to say what year it is when they're talking about something that's wrong with the world? Like, they'll say something like, really, we're still body shaming people? It's 2022. Really, we're still using that word? It's 2022. I want to know when that started. Like, were people in the past going, really, we're still burning witches? It's 1451. Really, we're still crucifying people? It's 30. I don't think they were. I think that's just something that we do. I think we're the first ones to be surprised that the world isn't fixed yet. We're like middle-aged white ladies in the suburbs going, really, in this neighborhood? You don't get to feel superior about where you're from anymore, so people just feel superior about when they're from. But at the same time, I don't know, it's like everyone also acts like the world is so much worse now, too. It's kind of frustrating. Like, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense to me. Like, there's a lot of talk about the apocalypse happening soon because of, I don't know, climate change or World War III or, you know, probably a lot of other things. I'm just like, well, first of all, like, the apocalypse has happened so many times. Like, the Black Plague wiped out 25% of the Earth's population at the time. 100 million people died. And I'm guessing the first time you found out about the Black Plague in like a history class or whatever, it wasn't even the biggest part of your day. On a long enough timeline, nothing matters at all. So I don't know why we're upset. Also, an apocalypse means never having to find out that you're not enough. That's the best part. In a post-apocalyptic society, I would just tell people, yeah, I would have been a famous comedian if the world hadn't ended. Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest with you guys. On the list of things I'm worried about, society collapsing is really not that high. Oh, you guys love Society. I didn't realize I was talking to a Society crowd. Dude, Society sucks. It sucks, dude. Most people I know are unhappy. Have you guys noticed that? There's no way we have it that much better than hunter-gatherer people did. Like, we don't have to worry about bears as much, but now we have depression. Which I feel like is a lateral move. Yeah, modern society makes people depressed because, according to the books I like to read when I'm on mushrooms, it takes 10,000 years, because evolution is so slow, it takes 10,000 years for human DNA to adapt to a new environment, which is longer than civilization has existed. So part of the reason why people are depressed now is because of all the modern stuff we interact with every day that we haven't adapted to yet. Like, for example, I don't think humans are supposed to know exactly what their own faces look like. Because I looked this up, mirrors were invented approximately 3,000 years ago. So you used to have to just trust other people to tell you if you were good looking or not. Someone would be like, "You're hot," and you'd be like, "That's excellent news." Or they'd just call you ugly, and you'd go, "That hurts, but thanks for letting me know." And now I think we're like short-circuiting ourselves with all the mirrors and selfies and whatnot. It's like our hunter-gatherer brains don't know how to process what they're looking at. They're like, "Wait, how am I the one that's looking at me?" Both of my eyes are supposed to be facing out. The only explanation is that something has gone horribly wrong. Guys, in the first half of my set, I tell you I have autism. In the second half, I show you. Yeah, all right. These are the only things I know how to talk about. So dating in LA is weird, right? No, please, someone shoot me in the head. I wouldn't know, but I could talk about another reason. One of the big reasons why why modern society makes people depressed is because prehistoric humans lived in like tight-knit communities of 30 to 40 people, and that was all they would know for their entire lives. And now we're depressed because society being so big makes us lonely. But also, I think because it makes it impossible to be the best at anything. Like, because the whole world is connected, like if you're super talented at something, you get moved up like a never-ending pyramid of all stars of all stars of all stars, until eventually you get to the US Olympic basketball team or the NASA like top scientist luncheon or whatever they have, and you're surrounded by people that are better than you at your best thing. And I don't think people used to ever have to face that, because in a population of 30 to 40, it'd be so easy to feel like a big shot. Like everyone would be the best at something. The tall guy in the village would be like, "I don't have to put up with people's shit. I'm 5'11". And those extremely rare humans that actually are 1 in 7 billion at something, they're not like us. You know, they're freaks of nature. I was just reading this article about the smartest person in the world. The highest IQ that's ever been recorded is by a Korean astrophysicist named Kim Eung-young, who is so smart he got famous as a baby because he said his first words when he was 4 months old. And by the time he was 6 months old, he could hold a full conversation. It's a true story. My first thought is, even if they knew words, what would a 6-month-old have to talk about? Like, so throwing stuff's pretty fun, right? Have you met this lady, Mom? She's made of food. What's the deal with the dog? Why does he look so much different than everyone else? Also, that would be terrifying. A real live talking baby if you didn't know ahead of time? Could you imagine the first time his mom was like, "Who does mommy love? Whom?" I can't relate to what it's like to be a mom, but I feel like breastfeeding a talking person would be horrifying. It would be freaky. No, the right one. And if you keep reading about this guy's life, which I did, By the time he was 18 months old, he started writing and performing poetry, which I'm sure was pretty incredible for people at the time. But in retrospect, I'm like, what a pretentious little baby. He was already too good for prose. Also, could you imagine being the guy at the poetry open mic that has to follow the guy that's 18 months old? No matter how good you are, the audience will go home saying, yeah, I guess that second guy was good, but I didn't want to blow on his belly. The part that bugs me is I bet he thought he was really good at poetry. Because the audience is going to give you so much slack just for being a baby in the performing arts. I feel like if he had done another performing art other than poetry, he would have embarrassed himself. Like, could you imagine if he had done something else? Like if he had been a magician? Like,
I will now make myself disappear.
Thank you. Guys, I think you may have just witnessed the record for longest comedy bit about a single baby that doesn't belong to the comedian on stage. But yeah, his name is Kim Eung-yong, and then he grew up and scored the highest IQ ever. So yeah, that's why it's impossible to be the best at anything, because the true outliers in a population this big are basically superhuman. Like, I'm trying to be an actor, right? I say trying to be because so far it's only cost me money. But my favorite actor is, and the actor who's won more Best Actor Oscars than anyone else, is Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah, he was in a movie one time called The Boxer, where he trained for a year before the movie started filming, and by the end of it, his trainer claimed that Daniel had gotten so good at boxing that he could have been a professional boxer if he wanted to.
He's not even athletic. He's just that good at acting.
He's good enough at acting that he can act good enough at boxing to beat a professional boxer. Could you imagine how embarrassing that would be for them? Like, so Johnsky, you really looked outmatched in the ring tonight with Daniel Day-Lewis. What do you think happened? Oh man, I gave it my all in there. He was just so believable. Every time he hit me, I thought, that's just how a boxer would do it. That would be so emasculating. Maybe not only does this man do his own job better than I do mine, he does my job better while he's doing his. They'd have to listen to Daniel in interviews going like, I don't just throw punches. I ask why. Am I trying to say, I hate you? Or am I trying to say, I hate that I need you? But here's the frustrating part for me. I don't even think you can even necessarily say that being the best in the world at something is even worth it. Because to be that good at anything, you have to make so many sacrifices, it basically balances out the good parts. Like, Daniel Day-Lewis was also in a movie called My Left Foot, for which he pretended to have cerebral palsy for 6 months of shooting and actually broke 2 ribs from being hunched over for so long. He also lived off the land in the wilderness by himself to get ready for 6 months to get ready for Last of the Mohicans. You can literally get this guy to do anything if you put him in a movie. I feel like a movie producer could take advantage of him. Like, Daniel, I have a movie idea.
Will you befriend a Hollywood movie producer that needs your kidney?
But also, I don't think you can say that all the stuff that Daniel Day-Lewis did wasn't worth it either. I mean, he does stand alone as the most awarded film actor that's ever lived. You know, like, Michael Phelps used to spend 364 days a year in the pool. And now he's horribly depressed because he never learned how to be a person. But how can you say it wasn't worth it? He has 23 gold medals. That's rarer than happiness. Thank you. Yeah. Bottom line is there's just an equal trade-off for anything you decide to do with your life. That's what I think. Nobody's better or worse off than anybody. It's all a big zero-sum game. That's why I'm just trying to live my life at neutral. That seems like the best way to do it. Been doing a little reading about neuroscience recently. Ladies. Thank you. Apparently the way pain and pleasure work in the brain is if you have too much of one without the other, you become desensitized to it over time, which is why people are still super depressed even though their lives are amazing. So, like, for example, according to brain scans, the greatest experience that any human being could ever have, the most euphoric feeling on earth, is black tar heroin. Because it releases all of your oxytocin, which is basically the chemical that makes you feel loved. Conversely, the worst experience that any person could ever have is getting stung by a box jellyfish. Because the way the toxins of the box jellyfish work is it hacks your nervous system and turns every single nerve in your body up to 100% pain. And that goes on for about 20 hours until your organs shut down from pain overload and you die. So what I, of course, need to know is what would happen to a person that took a bunch of heroin after getting stung by a box jellyfish? They'd be on their deathbed, and the paramedics would be like, "How do you feel?" And they'd be like, "Just sort of out of 5." I just kind of have that 2 p.m. feeling everywhere. I feel like if that happened to a person, they would automatically achieve enlightenment. They'd be like, "I'm not good or bad, I just really, really am." And then they would die from being so overwhelmingly neutral. Their last breath would be one of these. All right, guys, that's all the time I have for you. Thank you all so much for being here. Well, love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.